Okay, I want you to imagine a scenario. It's performance review time.
Uh-oh.
You walk into your boss's office, you sit down, maybe you're sweating a little bit. Your boss looks at your file, then looks up at you with this big smile and says, "Great news. I've been looking at the logs, and it looks like you haven't actually done the core function of your job in about 3 months."
In almost any universe, that is the moment you start packing up your desk.
Right.
That's a firing offense. Absolutely.
You'd expect to be escorted out of the building.
Yeah. But we aren't in a normal universe anymore. We are in the world of big tech in early 2026. And apparently, if you work at Spotify, not doing the work is the new definition of being a top performer.
It's a complete inversion of, well, everything we thought we knew about productivity. We're looking at a report today that is honestly a bit mind-bending. It's based on the recent fourth quarter earnings call from Spotify CEO Gustav Söderström.
And let's just say Gustav is feeling pretty good about the fact that his best people have, stopped typing. He is. But we're also going to pair that corporate cheerleading with a perspective from the trenches. A viral essay by a software engineer named Henry Muck. And he paints a very, very different picture of what this new way of working actually feels like.
So on one side, we have the CEO saying, "This is the future." And on the other, the engineer is basically saying, "I feel like a robot on a conveyor belt."
Exactly. And somewhere in the middle of that collision is the future of work for, well, probably everyone listening to this.
Let's start with the bombshell from Söderström. I read this 3 times to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. He's on this earnings call talking to investors, and he starts bragging about his most senior engineers. What exactly did he say?
He said that when he talks to his best developers,
The top-tier talent?
the top-tier talent at Spotify, exactly, they tell him they haven't written a single line of code since late December.
Since December. That is months of zero coding for a coder.
Correct. And Söderström isn't hiding this. He's showcasing it. He says that the role has fundamentally shifted. They don't write anymore.
So what do they do?
To use his exact words, they only generate code and supervise it.
Generate and supervise. Okay, I want to stick a pin in that phrase because it sounds like corporate speak, but I have a feeling it's actually a radical change in identity.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, think about why someone becomes a software engineer in the first place. Usually it's because they love the puzzle. They love the logic. They like building the structure, brick by brick.
Yeah, it's a craft. Like being a carpenter or a writer, you're making something from nothing.
Right. Now imagine you tell that carpenter, put down the hammer, you're never touching wood again.
Okay.
Instead, you're going to stand here and watch a machine build tables at 1,000 miles an hour, and your job is to just yell, "Stop," if it puts a leg on backward.
That sounds awful. I mean, sure, you get more tables, but you aren't a carpenter anymore.
Yeah.
You're quality control.
That's the shift. You go from being the painter, holding the brush, mixing the colors, to being the art critic or the curator. You are standing back, arms crossed, just judging the output of an AI.
And Söderström thinks this is a good thing.
He thinks it's the only thing. He told investors that Spotify is absolutely hell-bent on leading that change.
Hell-bent. That is not a casual phrase. That sounds almost desperate.
It sounds like survival. And that's really the subtext of his entire message. He said that advancing AI is a matter of when, not if.
So the implication is adapt or die.
Pretty much. If Spotify tries to keep doing things the old way, where humans handcraft every line of code, they will be dead in the water.
Because their competitors will be using that machine gun approach, and they'll still be using a musket.
Precisely. If your competitor can generate a new feature in 10 minutes using generate and supervise, and it takes your team 3 weeks to handwrite it, you lose.
Game over.
Game over. So Söderström is pushing this transition aggressively.
But he does admit there's a downside, right? He didn't paint it entirely as a bed of roses.
No, he was actually quite blunt about the friction. He said, quote, "It will be painful for many companies."
Painful?
Yes. Because you can't just, swap out the typewriter for the computer and keep the same office culture. He listed everything: engineering practices, product practices, design practices.
Everything has to change at once.
All of them have to change simultaneously.
That feels like trying to replace the engine of a 747 while you are currently flying over the Atlantic.
It's exactly like that.
Yeah.
And this is where we get to the concept of agility. Now, agile is one of those buzzwords that people in tech have been throwing around for 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
But Söderström is using it in a way that feels different here.
Yeah, he dropped a quote that I found genuinely unsettling. He said, "The things you build now may be useless in a month."
It's a striking admission, isn't it?
Useless in a month.
I mean, just pause on that.
Yeah.
If I'm a builder and I build a house, I expect that house to stand for 50 years.
If I write a book, I want people to read it next year. If I'm writing code that is going to be trash in 30 days, why am I even doing it?
That is the existential crisis of this new model. We are moving from software as an asset, something you build, polish, and maintain, to software as a consumable.
It's disposable.
Completely.
Like a paper plate.
Like a paper plate or a daily news feed. If the AI can regenerate the entire code base in minutes or create a totally new interface overnight, then the code you wrote yesterday has no long-term value.
Wow.
It was just temporary scaffolding to get to today.
That has to be incredibly demoralizing for the people doing the work.
Oh, it changes the psychology of the job completely. You stop getting attached to your work. You stop trying to make it perfect.
Because perfect is a waste of time.
Exactly. If it's going to be deleted in 4 weeks, you just need it to work now.
So we have a CEO who is hell-bent on speed, pushing a strategy where nothing lasts, and telling his painters to stop painting and start critiquing.
That's the view from the C-suite. High-level strategy, efficiency.
But we need to talk about what this actually feels like for the human being sitting in the chair. Because we have this report on AI fatigue. And I want to be clear here. This isn't just, I'm tired of hearing about ChatGPT.
No, this is a very specific occupational hazard. The source material is careful to make this distinction. This isn't litism. These engineers aren't anti-tech.
They use the tools.
They use the tools, but the workflow is grinding them down.
This brings us to Sethant Kar, the software engineer who wrote that viral essay. He used a metaphor that I have not been able to get out of my head. He said his job now feels like being a judge at an assembly line.
It's a powerful image.
Yeah.
And to understand why it's so stressful, we have to talk about how coding actually works.
Yeah, break that down for us, because to an outsider, checking work sounds easier than doing work.
It sounds it, yeah.
If I just have to read what the AI wrote and say it looks good, shouldn't that be a breeze?
You would think so. But in coding, reading is actually much, much harder than writing.
Why is that?
Think about writing an email. When you are writing it, you know exactly what you mean. You know the context. You know why you chose that specific word. You have the map in your head.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now imagine I hand you a printout of a complex legal contract written by someone else, and I say, you have 30 seconds to find the loophole that could bankrupt us.
Oh, that's stressful. A lot stressful.
Now imagine doing that every 2 minutes for 8 hours a day. That is what reviewing AI code is like.
Because you don't have the mental map.
You don't have the map because you didn't write it. So every time a new chunk of code, a pull request, pops up on your screen, you have to reverse engineer the logic from scratch.
You have to figure out what the AI was trying to do, then figure out if it actually did it, and then figure out if it broke anything else in the process.
Exactly. It's a massive cognitive load. It's called context switching. Your brain has to load a new scenario, solve it, dump it, and then load the next one. It is exhausting.
Carrie talked about stamping those PRs. PR stands for pull request, right?
Yes. A request to merge new code into the main system.
And he described it as a never-ending line. Like the AI just keeps spitting them out.
That's the assembly line problem.
Yeah.
In the old days, you waited for your colleague Dave to finish his code. Dave is a human.
Right.
Dave sleeps. Dave goes to lunch. Dave gets stuck. So the pace of review was human.
It had a natural rhythm.
Right. But the AI doesn't sleep. It doesn't eat. It can generate 10,000 lines of code while you are taking a sip of coffee.
So the pile never goes down.
It just grows.
It's the I Love Lucy chocolate factory episode.
It is exactly that. The conveyor belt speeds up and you're stuffing chocolates, or in this case, security vulnerabilities, into your hat just to keep up.
And Kara explicitly says this makes the job harder, not easier.
Yes. He feels the quality of his work life has gone down. He's not creating. He's just catching mistakes.
And the stakes are higher.
Much higher. Because the volume is so high, the fear of missing something increases. If you miss a bug in code you wrote, you usually know where to look. If you miss a bug in AI code, it could be buried anywhere.
This is so interesting because usually when people talk about AI taking jobs, it's a binary debate. View A is the robots take our jobs and we all starve.
Right.
And view B is the robots do all the work and we live in a luxury utopia.
Dune or paradise.
But Care is presenting view C, the grind scenario. We still have jobs, but the job transforms into this high-speed, high-stress, hyper-vigilant quality control.
And in many ways, view C is more realistic and more immediate than the other two. We aren't being replaced. We are being turned into the bottleneck.
The bottleneck, that's a key word here, because going back to Spotify's CEO Soderstrom, he is looking at this machine, this infinite code generator, and he sees opportunity.
He does. He talks about producing massively more software.
Which again sounds exhausting, but he identified something else in that earnings call that I think is the most profound part of this whole story. He identified what ultimately stops this process.
Yes, this was the aha moment for me in the report.
Right.
Soderstrom admits that the limiting factor is no longer production capacity.
It's not how fast engineers can type.
It's not even how fast the AI can generate.
So what is it?
He says the limiting factor is the amount of change that consumers are comfortable with.
Okay, let's unpack that. The limiting factor is us, the listener, the user.
Exactly.
So in the past, a tech company couldn't give you a new feature every day because they didn't have the manpower to build it. It was a supply-side problem.
Correct. Talent was scarce. Time was scarce.
But now, with AI, supply is basically infinite. They can build anything, instantly. So the only thing stopping them from changing the entire app every morning is that we, the users, would freak out.
We would revolt. I mean, think about your banking app or your favorite social media feed.
Yeah.
Imagine if the interface completely changed every 24 hours because the AI found a slightly more optimized layout.
I would delete the app. I can't relearn how to transfer money every single morning.
Exactly. You would get digital motion sickness. Humans crave a certain amount of stability and familiarity.
We build muscle memory.
We do. And if the software is fluid and constantly shifting, it becomes unusable to a human brain.
So we are the bottleneck. Our psychological bandwidth is the speed limit.
That is the new reality. We have moved from a supply-constrained economy to a demand-constrained economy. But the constraint isn't money, it's mental energy, it's cognitive friction.
This creates such a weird tension. You have these companies like Spotify who are, again, hell-bent on acceleration. They built a Ferrari engine that can go 300 miles an hour. But the passengers start throwing up if they go over 60.
And meanwhile, the mechanics, the engineers like Core, are burning out trying to manage this Ferrari engine that isn't even allowed to go top speed.
It just reframes the whole narrative. It's not a Terminator scenario where the AI becomes sentient and takes over. It's an exhaustion scenario.
It is. It's a crisis of pacing. The technology has outpaced biology, it has outpaced the worker's ability to verify it, and it has outpaced the consumer's ability to absorb it.
But here's my question. If you are a CEO like Soderstrom, and you've invested billions in this AI infrastructure, and you know the only thing holding you back is consumer comfort, do you just accept that limit? Do you just say, okay, we'll slow down?
History suggests no. In business, a bottleneck is just a problem to be solved.
So if the user is the bottleneck...
You try to fix the user.
Yeah.
Or you try to engineer around them.
That sounds ominous. How do you fix the user?
Well, you might develop AI interfaces that act as a buffer. Maybe your personal AI negotiates with Spotify's AI so you don't see the changes directly.
Okay.
Or, more aggressively, you just slowly ramp up the speed of change until people get used to it. You condition them to expect instability.
Like boiling a frog. You train us to stop expecting software to work the same way twice.
Possibly. We're already seeing it. Updates happen in the background now. Interfaces tweak themselves. The definition of stable is eroding.
It brings us back to that idea of the painter versus the curator. It seems like that shift isn't just happening to the coders. It's happening to all of us. We are all just becoming supervisors of these systems.
That's a great point. The engineer supervises the code. The consumer supervises the experience. We're all stepping back one layer from the actual doing.
So let's recap where we've been on this deep dive. We started with the news that Spotify's top engineers have effectively stopped writing code. They've become supervisors of an AI workforce.
We looked at the CEO's strategy of extreme agility, where code is disposable, useless in a month, and the company survives by moving faster than everyone else.
We contrasted that with the reality on the ground. Sid & Care's description of AI fatigue, the feeling of being a judge on an infinite assembly line, dealing with the massive cognitive load of checking machine logic all day.
And we landed on the ultimate ceiling, the fact that this infinite production machine is currently blocked only by our own human need for stability and comfort.
It's a lot to process, and I think for anyone listening who works in a knowledge job, whether you're a coder, a writer, a lawyer, this generate and supervise model is coming for you.
It absolutely is. This is the prototype for the entire knowledge economy.
So here's the final thought I want to leave you with today. We talked about that bottleneck consumer comfort. Soderstrom says that is the only limiting factor.
Right.
So if the tech companies have solved the production problem with AI, and the only bottleneck left is your attention span, your tolerance for change, what happens next? Are we entering an era where the primary goal of big tech is to force that bottleneck open, to fundamentally change how much change a human being can handle? And if they succeed in doing that, what does that do to our minds?
That is the multi-billion-dollar question, and I'm not sure we're going to like the answer.
Something to think about the next time your phone auto updates. Thanks for diving in with us.
Take care.